Hi. What's going to happen in terms of law reform 2017-2018? Let me tell you. Lord Justice Jackson is about to embark upon the final part of his reform process, and that is looking at implementation of fixed costs in civil litigation. Broad timetable is that he'll be undertaking research until perhaps Easter 17. He's then going to lock himself away and write final report, which will go to government this side of the summer. I have that from him personally. And it will then be for the government to decide what to do. But we already know that the government is very keen, it said so September 2016, to implement fixed costs across the board in as many matters as possible. So it is certainly going to happen. My expectation is that we will have fixed costs in place in the latter part of 2018, and critically, this is going to affect all civil claims. There is a myth that it might just be injury. No, it could be a contract claim, it could be a tortious property damage, fixed costs across the board. So we'll have some consultation, we'll have a report which will of course include his proposed figures, and that will transform modern civil procedure. My take on it is that fixed costs are going to be lower, perhaps dramatically lower than current recoverable levels of costs, and in turn, realistically, the only way you're going to make ends meet is by looking to your own client for a larger contribution, because the shortfall in recovery is going to be that much more pronounced. Jackson wants to get it all out of the way by the summer of 17, for he must retire on the 7th of March 2018, and his wish is that his last few months as a member of the Court of Appeal will be spent working in that court. So it's going to happen. Big question, obviously, what level of costs will be set. What I can tell you for certain is that the costs will be graded and will escalate with the value of the claim. The real uncertainty is up to what level will fixed costs apply. In his January 2016 speech entitled "The Time Has Come," he proposed that we have fixed costs in cases worth up to £250,000, and he is sticking to that figure. Now, that doesn't mean that it will be implemented by government, and my own take is that fixed costs will definitely be brought in, but perhaps at somewhat lower level than Jackson has or will recommend. But it is going to change the game totally. And although people look back to 2013 and think that the Jackson reforms then, all 109 of them were profound, I think fixed costs is, in the long run, a much more dramatic reform to the civil process. And I don't think it will stop there. I think as time goes on, whatever the threshold is, it will be increased. Jackson, a massive fan of the German model, where pretty much all litigation costs are fixed, and one can see the temptation to have fixed costs implemented at higher and higher levels. In practical terms, it will mean that there is no budgeting in these cases, because you don't need to budget if you have a fixed scale of costs at the end of the tunnel. Broadly, although not universally, it will mean no more detailed assessments. This is a much more tricky topic, and one that I will be talking about during 2017-2018 to explain the nuances, the gaps, and the ways around fixed costs. Now, on this last point, the government has promised that it will produce a response by the end of April 2017, and we will see where that goes. But I suspect the government has an appetite to bring about that change too, and that could certainly be with us in early 2018. So much reform ahead, uncertainty. We'll see where it goes. Thank you.